What's up, what's up, what's up? We're back again. Odin speaks all tongues of men that scribes have botched and blundered. We're bringing you the deepest truth in video 100. So here we go. We're doing our moon ritual. We started wizarding school on January 1st, 2021. We're doing a wizarding school, and step one of the wizarding school is teaching the science of moon magic. That's what we're doing. We've been doing a moon ritual since the new moon on the 11th, right? We got our bind runes, and this is the whole story of our lunar cycle that we're going through. We start off with the golemi, right? The little seed, the embryo, right? It's made of two kanas joined together in ingus, the seed. It's a sacred union of the masculine and feminine wisdom. This is called the work of the chariot, or Masa Merkaba by the Kabbalists. Okay, and that's why we have Or Makif, right? And we got the surrounding light, right? Those three Sewelus represent the waxing power of the light and the sun, the 3 months or moons of the sun's ascending power, April, May, and June. So that's our inception there. We're starting off the spring season of Februarius, right? And the Lupercalia and all this. Valentine's Day is our moon magic, right? So in the middle phase, we have Yera. That's where the two kanas begin to separate as the seed germinates under the earth, right? The flowering aerial parts go up and the taproot goes down. That's the middle phase. That's the, quarter moon, right? Where it's halfway. And then we have the final fruiting phase, right? That's the big grail cup, right? See how the bag is being opened? We got the two wunjos on either side. It's the same ones that were in the middle of the seed in the beginning, but now the seed's opening, right? It's fully reached its potential. We got two wunjos around per throw, the bag of the apple tree, right? And the bag, right? In the Kabbalah version, they got the pomegranates. That's their little bag, right? And notice how it's got the corona on top, right? It's not been chopped off like an obelisk. It's not about, see, that's how the pharaohs and these rabbis know they don't get circumcised. They leave their pomegranate with the little crown on top. That's how you get fertility, right? But yet they want to circumcise everyone else. But we're breaking that, right? Because we have the secrets of creation from Otter, King Odin and his father Otter and Atrahasis, right? They brought us the runes, right? They're Scythians, they're caballeros, right? They're knights. They created the chariot. They have the great chariot of the Merkaba, right? And that's what we're working with, because we're working with Yesod, the foundation stone. And the main objective of this is to clear up the Babili, right? The Babylon, the confusion that these Babili priests and their Assyrian script have done. I don't fault them, right? I give great gratitude to my rabbis that have taught me so much about the Kabbalah. But really, they're just the custodians of Odin's science, right? Because he's a Scythian god. He's a dragon king, right? So the Scythians had the first, trained horses and cavalry, which is where we get caballeros, right? The Kabbalists and the caballeros ride the horses, right? They ride the chariot. They ride the Merkaba of Yesod, the foundation stone, right? They have astral traveling power, which is properly belonging to King Odin and Otter, because this is their science. They're the dragon kings. They had the chariots first, right? Before the flood, right? They were doing the Merkaba way back. So, but let's look at what they taught us, these rabbis, right? And I don't fault them. I don't blame them. They're doing God's work because they're preserving the lineage that their ancestors gave them, okay? They're doing a good job of that. They brought Odin's science to us down through the ages. But there's kind of a lot of confusion, and they're trying to take credit for something they did not create, okay? And that's wrong. And if they didn't refer to themselves as the chosen race, I would let bygones be bygones and I would just move on. But since they claim this kingship and this chosen race and all the thrones of the Saxons who have stolen and usurped the 4 thrones of my ancestors, right, they've usurped it. So that's why I have to crush them in their babbly and their confusion, right? So we're going to look at Odin's rune, Othala, and see how it's comprised of 2 parts, a gebo, right? I want to make sure this all shows clearly. A gebo with a kanaz over top, right? And then we see chet, the Hebrew letter chet, and now see how it has that little cap on top, the kappa, the cap, right? The canopy that covers it, right? Crowley teaches all this in his tarot. If you look at the chariot card, he's got the canopy right there. So he knows about this. He knows about the crown between the male and the female, the chatoret, it's called in Hebrew, right? The chatoret, that little kanaz on top, right? Over the gebo, which is the gift and the sacred union of male and female, where they join together and they give the gift of life to their progeny. They're not circumcised, right? They don't have their progeny hidden and switched around at birth, right? They don't have that done to them by these Masonic fraternities, because they have the gift of life. They're giving the kingship, right? So you know, this is what we're trying to teach, right? We're trying to teach everybody about the hidden stone, or the philosophers, and the synthesis of the fifth element, right? Through the Cairo, right? So that's Odin's rune, right? It's his science, right? It was stolen. So let's talk. Okay, we're doing video 100. So in Hebrew, that's Kof, right? Which means the back of the skull, right? Where the spine joins on the Atlas, right? The Atlas, who is, you know, one of these antediluvian dudes, right? He's got the bloodline. So it joins the skull with the spine, right? That's Kof. That's the back of the head, right? This is where we get the letter Q, right? Q is the 17th letter of the alphabet, just like the star is the 17th card of the tarot, right? She represents Danu, the river goddess. That's why she has a cup, right? This is the Danish people, and this is Odan and Odin, right? This is their goddess. She's on top. She's the one. She's the Q gospel, right? See how the four rivers of Eden join together in the suits of the tarot, and we have the Q in the middle. That's the Q gospel, right? It's the common source of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It's the waters of the Torah from the sacred chalice of the Grail, okay? The Q, the Coptics, right? And Kof, right? And Kopa, the Greeks call it Kopa. It's letter 90. It's 100 in Hebrew. So since we're on video 100, we're going to look at the science of the cup, what the Grail is all about. And since I'm of Odin's bloodline, I'll tell you the secret right there. It's all right there. The quintessence, right? The synthesis of the four rivers of Eden. This represents four lineages of kings, right? And I'll give you a hint. None of them is, you know, in Israel, right? We got the Scottish king. We got the Welsh king. We got the French king, right? And then we have the Southern king, who isn't what people think at all. But anyways, you know, he's probably Ethiopian, actually, I would say. Like the Copts, right? He's from Egypt. He's from the Nile River area, right? You know what I mean? There's four kings, and I have all of their blood. But I'm not going to get into that part. They don't want to hear about that. But let's talk about 100s. So let's look at all these words in the Kabbalah, in our Torah, right? In the science of Ater and Odin, right? In their Kabbalah, their chariot. They took the Scythian chariots and their horse and their chivalry. Their chivalry comes from the Narts, right? They're not knights, they're Narts, right? They have this lineage. They bring the dragon, right? They bring the Grail to Western Europe, okay? They're the ones who had it first. They're knights and charioteers, right? They were way back. The pharaohs were friends with them. They knew all about them. These are very ancient kings, and they've been erased from history. Right? But we're fixing it because we're bringing back Danu, the goddess of the river. And we're going to see how this 100 and this Kof and this Kopa, right? We got our nice little bear. We got everything we need right there. We got Odin's bear warden. We got his little star, his star woman, Danu, the river goddess. Okay, so let's look at all these words in the Torah, right? Let's think about our happy little bear, right? And we're going to think about the golden bear. And we're going to look at these words in the Torah. We got Agmon, which means a pool. And it also means a rush cord or a rope. So the pool is Golgotha, it's the skull, right? It's the Kopa, it's the skull, right? That's the Q gospel, and that's the Grail, it's the skull. You know, this is the temple, right? We'll get to that. But right, Agmon means a pool, and it means a rush cord or a rope. So we have these fibers and these rushes that are at the Sea of Reeds, right? And they're at the Sea of Galilee, and they're all around the Mediterranean. And that's how we get the Cana bush, right? We get the Cana bosem, we get the ganja. You get the hemp ropes for sails. That's why Dan has a lot of sails and boats, because he grows fat ganja everywhere. You know what I'm saying? He's from Hemp Town, right? Hampton Heath, right? He grows the hemp because he's the tribe of Dan. He's got boats with ropes and sails of canvas and canabosem, right? Then let's keep going with the hundreds. We got Yemelech, which means he crowns. He consecrates as king. He coronates, right? So we see this cup is the cup of kingship, and it gives coronation and rulership, right? So then we have Kelim, which again means vessels, like a cup, for example. It's a vessel. The Sephira are referred to as these Kelim, right? These are vessels of the deity. Then we have Mimi, water. And then we have Mikel, brook. We have Yemim, which means oceans and seas, right? Then we have Ben Nechali, which means in the river. So you're starting to get this cup imagery. 100, all these words are 100, just like Kof, just like the cup of the skull, okay? The Grail King, he has all the four bloodlines in one. He's the Q gospel, okay? Try to understand. This is where we're at. And time has gone too far. The Babylonians have gone too far. The world has almost been destroyed by this cornhole virus, right? And we need the crown to heal it. We need the great dragon to heal all this and redeem the beast and straighten all this shit out for us. And Danu makes it all possible, the river goddess. And it's the veneration of her goddess power that gives Odin and the tribe of Dan everything good that they have. She is the charioteer as well. Just as we see Zayin and Vav united there with the Katoret and the Kappa, right? Married in the sacred union. That's it. That is the chariot, okay? That is the Kabbalah. And it comes from Dan. It comes from the Scythians, and it comes from Danu, the sacred goddess. So if these rabbis and stuff didn't call themselves the chosen people and try to lord it over everyone and take over the Vatican treasury with the Rothschild bankers and their dark red bloodline, right? I wouldn't have no issue with none of this. And the world, I'm not doing this as egotism, right? I'm doing this because the world is all fucked up. Their lies has corrupted the golemi. It's corrupted the seed. It's corrupted the process of reproduction and kingship, passing on the sacred line. And so I have to fix it, okay? I don't want to defame and fight and call out all their lies, all these false priests and their Babylonian lies and their corruption of the great beast. I don't want to focus on that. But what I want my goddess back. I want Danu back. Her river gives the sacred life. It gives the grail. It gives life abundant. It restores the crown to Odin's pike at the North Pole instead of in Babylon. That's what we have to do. It's imperative for the survival of our planet and our species. Okay? So we're going to keep going. We got Bed Nachalid in the river. Okay, this river goddess, Danu. She's got everything. She's Sarasvati. She brings us words, language, and the Arya, the science of the Arya, right? They're noble kings of the Ari. Okay, they're not Babylonians. Why do I have to explain this to people? And then, okay, we're going to keep going with 100. We got Themelia, which means to the foundations. And that's how tribe of Dan and these antediluvian kings of, Atrahasis, Ater, and Odin, right? They go to the foundations of the earth. They've been here all along, right? And that's why we have these two goddesses, right? We have the Empress, right? The earthly Venus, who give us the physical comforts of the body, medicine and food and beauty and pigments and paint and all these good things that we cover ourselves with. And she decorates the temple, okay, on the material plane. And then we have the high priestess, the Hierophantria, right? She's the Tantra itself. She weaves the fabric of reality, okay? We need her. She's Odin's counterpart, because Odin is a mercurial god, right? He's in the mental space, whereas the priestess, the Hierophantria, she's in a transcendent space that goes beyond the intellect, right? She sees to the foundations of the earth. And when people describe her as being a prophetess, right? She's just reading the letters. She's just reading the runes. She's in connection. Her tantra and her continuity with this foundation stone have not been ever severed, right? She's not distinct from time and causality. She is time and causality. She knows the future of everything. That's why she's the priestess, but she's always veiled and hidden because people can't handle what she has. They're not able to process it. But Odin King and his mercurial priests, they try to do her work in the world and use the runes and letters and the sciences, the Kabbalah and the math. They try to translate her web for people and help to correct the fabric. Okay, so our last word of 100 is vechopo, which means to be covered. Okay, and this relates to the story in the Torah where they go to fetch water from the wells and the pools, right? The wells and pools are dried up, so they take their cup and turn it upside down, right? That's our ketoret, right? That's our little cap, our cup and our cap. That's why Hebrews wear the yarmulke, right? The skull cap. It's relating to this cup, this King of Cups, right? This Grail King, the Q gospel. Are you starting to understand? It all connects, okay? And I'm here to translate and clear up the Babylon. It's not personal, okay? It's not personal against any of these rabbis. I mean, I could tell you these rabbis that I follow, right? I watch all their videos as much as possible because they know so many secrets, right? But the problem is, they're hiding the secrets. Not these individual people that I learned from, okay? Not them. But they've been passed on something which they don't fully understand its origins, right? And so that's why I'm here. And I represent Odin and Danu, Wotan and Dan, right? The great serpents, right? The Tanim at the pole and the spike, right? They're at the very top. The ring, the one ring of the sun and the moon, Solo and Mono, right? That's Odin's one ring of the Arctic Circle and the Bear Warden, right? That's his deal. That's where the chariot goes, and that's where it stays, okay? And so we got to lift up this Danu, this sacred woman, and her chalice of Aquarius, right? The Q gospel.